There are very few things in our lives that will lock us up quicker than sitting for prolonged periods of time with no breaks of standing or activity in between. Unfortunately, this is a reality for many people, and counteracting that can be tough to overcome if we don't have the right tools. When we sit for hours and hours a day, we're basically being put into this position right here of hip flexion, and generally most people's sitting posture isn't very good to begin with, so that's usually coupled with a forward tilt of the pelvis. Or it's coupled with this awkward sort of back rounding where it's just putting pressure on awkward parts of our pelvis and our spine. If we're constantly sitting all day in this position at 90 degrees of hip flexion, you can see that through the right angle it forms right here. This is around where most people are. The body adapts to the imposed demands placed on it, even if those demands are going to be passive. So the musculature around the front of the pelvis is going to become tight, and the musculature on the back is going to likely become more eccentrically or elongated over time as this progresses over a duration of months or years. So something we can do to help counteract that would be to restore the ability to extend our hip, because if we're constantly in this position, when we stand up, we're probably going to be in some degree of hip flexion at all times. So what we want to do is restore the ability to extend the hip and stand up with an erect, straight posture. If we're constantly in this hip flex position, we're actually putting strain on the ligaments that are responsible for holding us upright. In order for proper centration of the ligaments within the pelvis, we actually do need proper hip extension. So how are we going to restore this hip extension? Well, the two musculature groups I really want to go after here are the hamstrings, which attach on the ischial tuberosities here, which bring the pelvis back. And also, I want to train the lower glute max fibers down here, which are going to be weaker in most people who sit all the time, because those fibers down here are responsible for hip extension as well. So here are two exercises I love that are pretty easy to get done on a day-to-day basis without any equipment that should really help counteract the effects of prolonged sitting.
For this exercise, you want to be far enough away from a wall so you can push your heel into that wall. You want to keep your leg fully extended, just feeling your lower butt cheek glute max fibers, and then keep your elbows directly underneath your shoulders and actively push the ground away, again, not straining too hard. Keep a neutral head in this position and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, nice and relaxed for about 5 seconds each time. For this one, a couch or a bed is going to work really well. So you want to make sure here, the key is that you're digging your heels down and you're not arching your low back. You should keep your low back slightly rounded. And you should feel that posterior pelvic tilt, that sort of tailbone tucking in between your legs sensation. So you want to press down into the floor with your heels. And you only want to lift as high as you can while keeping that posterior pelvic tilt. You should feel your hamstrings and a little bit of lower butt cheek. Reach for the ceiling with both arms, but don't engage your pecs as you do so. 5 seconds in through your nose, 5 seconds out through your mouth for 5 breaths on both of these exercises.